Welcome back to Thompson to Clark. We are down to the last 2 weeks of the regular season. That sounds crazy to me, by the way.
Yeah, I feel like we just started. Didn't we just start?
How did we get through 150 some odd games of this season already?
I don't know. You know, the funny thing too is the minor league AAA baseball season ends a week from yesterday, and I haven't gone to a game. And the stadium is
I know I haven't
right
been to a
down the
San Jose
street.
Giants game either.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's kind of how this year has been. So next year, I'm going to make it a point to get some more Reno Aces games, especially when the River Cats are here, man.
Yeah, you could have seen some Luciano bombs this year.
I could have seen some Eldridge, some Luciano. I could have seen a lot of stuff, man. But I just when they were here, the 2 times they were here, it was really tough to get over there. It was like 4th of July weekend, and just like a couple weeks ago when I was out of town, and then I came back and there were 2 games left, and it was raining and it was nasty. So yeah, I didn't even bother. But
Now that I think of it, I think the main reason I didn't go to any San Jose Giants games is because prospects wise, no one giant. But I think if Gonzales and Level get to San Jose, then you kind of have to go.
Sure.
So that's maybe when I will try and get over there. By the way,
yeah.
I wanted to show you my T-shirt. Well, you've seen it before, but anybody who is watching,
I love this shirt. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. You got to show the whole thing. I love that. That is sweet. You got the hat too.
Yeah, I have the hat. This was a throw in a couple years ago when I bought another shirt. So this is from the website and social channels, Warriors World. So he put it together, and I was like, I got to get it. I've never seen a shirt with my favorite baseball announcers on it before.
That's right. The four horsemen, we'll call them.
Imagine if when we met those guys, or at least when we met Fleming and John Miller, if I was wearing that shirt, they probably thought that was a little weird.
Nah, they would have laughed. I'm sure they would have absolutely loved it. Although they would have been like, so what royalties? What,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so we have to talk about what happened last week in Giants baseball. It was pretty good for a little while, and then it went really bad. And I think we would have hoped that they could have swept the Diamondbacks because that would have set them up very nicely, but they lost the 3rd game of that series. The Diamondbacks were here. And then the Dodgers came here.
Yeah.
Friday night, we were all going nuts as Patty Bales hits a walk-off grand slam off of Tanner Scott, who simply can't do anything right these days.
Right.
And so at that point, you're sitting pretty. You're tied for the wild card, even though we lose the tiebreaker to the Mets. And you're thinking, if we can just get one more game out of this series, this may set us up very well for the following week. And so game 2 in that series scheduled for Logan Webb and Clayton Kershaw, the old ace versus the current Giants ace. And I was kind of frustrated because I thought the Dodgers, at least the strategy it seemed from the Dodgers, was we're going to treat this like a must-win playoff game. We see that Kershaw didn't have anything. The Giants batted around on him. Was it that the first inning?
Yeah, it was.
And that was the only time in Clayton Kershaw's history against the Giants that they've batted around against him. So you're thinking at that point, you're like, okay, like we have a lead. Let's do everything we can to keep this lead. Unfortunately, Logan Webb was probably in his head a little bit just because he's faced the Dodgers so many times over the years, and he probably wanted to surprise them a little bit, and he was throwing a little his pitch. The pitches he was throwing leaning a little bit more towards something that he thought maybe they weren't looking for. And he's getting beat. I think he'd given up like 10 hits in 4 innings or something. And so my feedback was that they needed to pull him, because if you sort of rely on Robbie Ray, like if you could take game 2 and then you go, hey, Robbie Ray, we're just going to need everything that you got. We emptied our bullpen on Saturday. And then if you lose, and then you maybe throw a little Christian Koss in there, no biggie, no foul, but you at least win that second game. And Bob Melvin stuck with Logan Webb a little bit too long. Buto has to inherit runners, and as anybody knows, it is so much easier for a pitcher to come into a game without runners on than with runners on, and then it just went all to hell from there. I'm not blaming Bob Melvin for them losing. I just thought there was a distinct difference in the managing styles for both of those guys. But to Bob Melvin's credit, he probably has seen this from Webb before, thinking, yeah, he may not have his best stuff, but he is still our best bet instead of, some middle reliever that we're going to have to bring in. Maybe I trust Logan Webb a little bit more. And it didn't pay off because they got smoked in that game. They lost 13-7. And then the getaway game. Do they still call it the getaway game? I don't hear that term.
Yeah. I hear it quite often. Getaway game and the rubber match, because that was the rubber match technically on Sunday, but yeah.
And they had none chance on Sunday. That was a blowout pretty much from the get-go. So they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, and they're now a game and a half behind the Mets for the wild card. A lot better than where it was a couple weeks ago, but still the story of the season is every time the Giants, it seems like they're going to make up some ground, something happens and it's the opposite. And that was what happened this weekend. Now, what it does, though, because they've played such good baseball over the last few weeks, the last 10 games or so, I think they're only 500, but previous to that, what it does is it sets up what should be some competitive baseball to end the season, which is what we asked for at the beginning of this season. We want these games to matter going down the wire as the season is over. And that's what we're getting. Now, hopefully, it could be this week and it could be done, or this week. And all of a sudden, they've made even more ground. Like, we'll have to wait and see. I have a scenario that I'm going to guess will put them in a pretty decent spot, because they have 7 games. So 3 against the Diamondbacks, by the way, who are only a half game behind the Giants and have leapt over the Reds.
They're hanging in, man.
So you got 3 games against the Diamondbacks. And if you're the Diamondbacks, you're thinking, oh, we got the Giants coming off of getting destroyed at home. They're ripe for the pickings. I'm not afraid of no Kai Wei Tang and TBA, who's starting game 2. And they think maybe we can actually jump over the Mets here. So this series, I find it hard to believe that. I think a lot of people are taking this Diamondback series for a little bit for taking advantage of the idea that the Giants are just going to go walk through them. Yeah. Like Arizona's right there. They have the same thoughts as the Giants. So here's my hypothesis to how the season goes for the remaining, 13 games I think they have left, something like that?
Yeah, 13.
Okay, so we go into Arizona. We got to win 2 out of 3. If you don't win 2 out of 3, not only are you behind the Mets, but you are also behind the Diamondbacks. So you got to win 2 out of 3. And there's going to be by hook or by crook in this series, because like I said, you have Wei Tang starting, you have TBA starting, and then I don't know who's after that. Who would it be after that?
Because
Verlander
Verlander was Friday,
right?
So he would throw Wednesday, right?
This is a Wednesday or would he throw that first game of the Dodgers
Sunday,
series?
Monday, Tuesday. No, he could throw Wednesday. That would be day 5.
Okay, so you have that, and you're hoping by that game 3 that you're playing for the series, and also if you win that game, you win the season series against the Diamondbacks, which is the tiebreaker there.
Yeah.
So you got to take 2 out of 3. You go into LA, and I think you have to split. If you don't split in LA, if they go 1-3 or if they get swept, I think it's almost time to call it at that point. 2-2 gives them a chance, I think, because, and here's why. Last 6 games remaining at home, Cardinals, Rockies. You got to sweep both of those series.
Absolutely.
That's if you set yourself up to have a winning week this week, you go into the last week of the season, 2 games over 500 and 6 games to win, and you win all of those games. I think they're right there. Whether that's enough, I have no idea, because I think the Mets have the Padres this week. Then they have the Nationals, and then they have the Marlins, and I forget who the fourth team is that they have next week. So that is my hypothesis in how do you win the wild card, or at least how do you give yourself the best chance? The Dodgers just showed us that they were so happy to see the Giants for whatever reason. Like, we are the antidote. Whenever the Dodgers are having problems, they're like, okay, who's going to be our Robitussin? Oh, San Francisco. Okay, San Francisco's Robitussin. This is how we get rid of our cough. And that's what I felt. And that was my worry going into the season, or into the series. So I was so happy that they won that first game, because my worry was that we were going to get 3 games of Saturday and Sunday. So what are your thoughts on that? What are you feeling? What are you expecting? And look, man, all we wanted was a chance, and they're giving us a chance so we can watch, hopefully, some really strong baseball these next couple weeks.
Yeah, and us Giants fans, we know that when the Giants go into Arizona and you need to win ball games, weird stuff always happens, man. So you're going to have at least one game of weirdness. And let me just tell you how much Arizona Diamondback fans are treating this series, and how excited they are for it. Sarcastically, the outfield, I just looked at tickets for tonight's game. The outfield is not sold out at all. It's not even close.
Oh my gosh, come on.
$15 tickets. The entire upper deck is still available. $15 tickets. Like, nobody's going to these games. So if Giants fans could feel it, kind of feels like Giants South, which the Giants fans do fill up that Diamondbacks ballpark quite a bit. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the thing is, the Mets just came off of an 8-game slide, and just won yesterday with an extra inning home run from Pete Alonso. They're also not playing lights out baseball. So you kind of have to take into account that. I know I heard a lot a couple days ago, the Giants have to go 13-3, or, and before that it was they got to go 16-3 because of the Mets, and this and that. The Mets aren't playing good baseball. The Reds are playing Giants baseball. The Diamondbacks are playing Giants baseball. Those 3 teams are all playing the same: Giants, Reds, Diamondbacks. If the Mets go on another 5 or 6 game slide, we're battling it out with Arizona and Cincinnati. And I don't think, the Mets are going to be hanging in there, because they also have to play good baseball for all of these, all of these scenarios where the Giants have to be, play 600 baseball the rest of the way. It's not looking like that right now. But yeah, the Giants do have to take 2 out of 3. If they are below the Diamondbacks and below the Reds when they go into Los Angeles for 4-game series, then we're looking at problems, man, like big time problems. Dodgers play great baseball at home, especially against the Giants. So this could be either the nail in the coffin this week, or what rises us to the top. If the Giants can get out of Arizona miraculously with a sweep, and again, weird stuff happens in Arizona. Weird baseball happens in Arizona. The Giants can go in there and sweep. We could not be expecting that. It usually what happens in Arizona is what you're not expecting. as we've seen over the years. So the Giants could go in there and walk out of there with a sweep and all of a sudden be in that third wild card spot. Now that series in Los Angeles, senses are heightened. Everybody's heightened. Everybody's hyper.
Cheeks might be a little tighter, though.
Cheeks might be a little bit tighter, but you know what? If they've got that third wild card spot, the Giants might start playing a little bit looser and saying, hey, now this is ours to lose. Let's just go out there and play baseball. They're getting a shot in the arm with a call-up today.
Mm-hmm.
So that might help. Mr. Eldridge is coming on up. So,
yep.
But again, what are we expecting from him? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's going to be the pitching. And I was looking at the bullpen too, because I was kind of lamenting in our chat over the weekend about the bullpen and how if we go into a playoff series, with a team like the Dodgers, can our bullpen keep up? We saw over the weekend our starting pitching couldn't keep up, and that was the problem. But I started looking. I thought I want to see what the Giants bullpen has done since the trade deadline when they got rid of Camilo and got rid of Tyler Rogers. And I was looking, they have the exact same ERA they had before the trade deadline and after the trade deadline. It's like 0.01 off. Before the trade deadline, the bullpen's ERA was 3.22. And now it's, I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong number. Now it's 3.83. So it's a little bit higher. But instead of being 14th in the majors before the trade deadline, now they're 11th in the majors. So everybody's bullpen is kind of slid off a little bit. The Giants, yeah, everybody's leaky. Yeah, come on, it's September. Everybody's kind of, tired, gassed, falling apart. But that's the whole thing is going into a series in Arizona, you also have to have a good bullpen because it's hot, man, and the ball flies out of there as we've seen. So it's gonna be a tough series no matter what. You're talking about a 3-game series in the desert. And just looking at another thing I was thinking about today that I kind of pulled up, and because we get frustrated as Giants fans. I mean, our biggest frustration is getting hits with runners in scoring position, right? I mean, that's been for years. So I thought I want to look at the teams in the playoffs right now who are slated to make the playoffs, and I want to see what their teams are doing with runners in scoring position versus us. Giants are number 16 in the league, dead center at 251, hitting 251 with runners in scoring position. But if you look at the top 10 teams, only 7 of the top 10 teams are playoff teams. Miami's in there at number 4. The Nationals are in there at number 5.
Wow.
Tampa Bay's in there at number 6, and they're just outside of the playoffs. Numbers 11 through 18, there's only one team that's slated to make the playoffs, and that's Boston at number 15. Then you start going down the list. Yankees are number 19 in the league. Padres are 20th. Astros are 22nd. And the lowly Mariners are 27th in the league with runners in scoring position.
Leading the American League West.
Yeah, exactly. And I always thought, runners in scoring position, those key hits, that's kind of telling of the type of team who's clutch that makes a playoffs. But then I looked at that and I thought, you know what? It's really not. It's a combination, and it just kind of tells you a little bit more. Baseball is such a team sport. You can have a game where you go 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, and you still win 3-0 because you get a sacrifice fly, or like the Giants, a run thrown in. That's one of our favorite stats over the years, a run thrown in where somebody makes an error in the infield and Giants score 2 runs and win the ball game 3-0 because of pitching. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of a fun thing to look at. It popped into my head this morning. I thought, runners in scoring position, we suck at that. I want to see where everybody else is. So,
you know what I found to be very interesting when I was taking a look at these standings? I was like, man, what if the Giants were in the American League? They'd be sick. They'd be like 6.5 games back. So
exactly.
Very happy to be in the National League this year because the Rangers, good old Brucey Bochy, they're at 90, they're 79 and 71, and they're still 2 games behind the Astros. And they're playing good baseball. They're 7 out of their last 10. They're plus 94 when it comes to run differential, which is better than both the Astros and the Mariners. And then the Giants, they're only plus 22, and they would rank last out of any of the playoff contenders. But the Diamondbacks and the Reds are also right around the plus 20s. So it's just one of those years where if they sneak in, they may not even be one of the best 12 teams. They may be one of the best 15 teams, but if you sneak in just because you're in the National League, you kind of have a halfway decent shot at, possibly doing something, because the divisions outside of the Phillies and the Brewers and maybe even the Cubs, like there's no real powerhouses. So you might be able to sneak out a victory in the first round. Who would they play? Would they play the Dodgers?
If the Dodgers win the division, I believe we would, because the Phillies are probably going to end up with the top seed.
Yeah, Phillies are actually the Brewers currently have the top seed, but the Phillies have been playing better baseball of late, so they may catch them. But the Dodgers are, they're a bunch of games behind both teams for top seed.
Yeah, and actually, you're right, the Brewers. So the Giants right now, if they snuck into that third spot, they would be playing Philly. They'd go to Philly for 2 out of 3. And then the Dodgers would play.
Don't the top 2 teams get buys?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So it is the top 2 teams. So so we would get the Dodgers, and then the Padres and the Cubs would play. 1984 rematch. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So,
not to make this sad, but Ryan Sandberg's MVP season is when that was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 84. Yeah, that was a crazy good series. I remember watching that, and then I think I'm aging myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think on one of the off days when they weren't playing, there was a Punky Brewster episode where her and the old man go to a Cubs game, and I think it's like the playoff game or something like that. I don't remember. But it's a long time ago.
All right. So you mentioned a young gentleman, by the way, who is up as of today. Giants announced that Bryce Eldridge has joined the big league squad. And I was kind of thinking about this because we've been asking, when is this dude coming up? And I even talked to our guy, Garrett, and he said, well, if they really wanted him up, he could have come up, weeks ago, and they didn't do it. So maybe they're just not interested. So they do. And today, his first ever big league game, he's hitting 5th and DHing. So what it sounds like is he's going to DH against righties. So that means Devers at first. And against lefties, I'm guessing Wilmer goes to first and Devers goes to the DH. I think that's how they're playing it.
Okay.
So we get a look at the young buck. I was actually looking this up. I want to see how old Will Clark was when he made the bigs. He was 22, but it's because he played 3 years in college or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Eldridge isn't even 21 yet. So he got to the big leagues a couple years earlier than Will did on the age there. The worry, if you were a Giants fan, is that he still struck out 31% this year. 31% of his at bats he struck out. So his contact is not there yet. And here's kind of the thing that I'm wondering, you always want to test the rook. And I imagine these pitchers are going to want to test the rook. So he may actually get some pretty good pitches to hit.
Yeah.
But if he does something with those pitches, second time around, they're going to be like, okay, we're making this dude swing at pitches that are not in the strike zone. But
apparently the big holes in his swing are low. Yeah, anything
which is kind of weird. It's weird for a left-handed hitter, but then again, it's not weird for someone who is 6'7".
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I have no idea what being 6'7" is like. So yeah,
because low and in would seem to be the pitch for your left-handed power hitters to just be able to golf the ball out of the
Absolutely.
park. But
Yeah.
if his arms aren't as long as his legs, he may not be able to reach that pitch necessarily. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think we're about as excited as you can be because these games matter, and the kid's coming up. And I just worry that it might, do you want to just throw him into the mix? And then Buster Posey said, he kind of has the makeup where I think he'll thrive in this scenario. And you're like, all right, dude. Like, he's like 20 years old. Can you imagine? You have a child who is close to that age. Like, can you imagine the pressure? Like, think about his parents, but they're probably like, we raised him to be like this or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, 20 years old is young.
Everybody's built so differently though, man. And listening to his interviews over the last year and a half or so, he is so ready for this. I mean, this is what he's built for. He is ready to compete at the highest level. He wants to go out there and perform. I don't he puts the pressure on himself. I don't think anybody else is going to put pressure on him. He puts pressure on himself to be good. But yeah, I don't. And again, it's 2 weeks. If he goes up there and hits 110 and strikes out 40% of the time, but hits one home run, hey, you know what? He's got his big league home run under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
He got some big league at bats. He got a taste. Nothing to ruminate over in the offseason over 2 weeks of baseball. Now, if he would have come up 3 months ago and hit below 200 for 3 straight months, that's a lot to chew on in the offseason. So I don't think that's what Buster Posey wanted to do back, a couple months ago. So so I understand this. AAA's got 1 week left. They aren't going to the playoffs. River Cats aren't going to the playoffs. So it's either he comes up now or a week from now. And so I think that's why he came up now. You just give him that extra week of at bats, see what he can do, give him a taste of it. Then that way, opening day next year, yes, it's special. It's opening day. It's your first opening day as a big leaguer, but you've been there before. You've seen the clubhouse. You've met the clubhouse guys. You know everybody. And so it's a little less pressure maybe at the beginning of next season. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm not expecting much. I'd be happy with 1 to 2 home runs between now and the end of the season. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't hit one also, just because it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. And again, he may not get the at bats. If he's only facing righties, he's not going to get that many at bats between now and the end of the year.
So the reason that they pulled the trigger on him, or at least that they had to, is because Dom Smith, Dirty Dom, got hurt himself on a stretch, making a great play to help a great play with Matt Chapman, made a dive in Friday night's game. And Dom Smith went into the full-on splits. Like, that one hurt just watching it.
Ugly.
And it looks like it's a thigh injury. So he's going to be out. And so they needed to replace his position. And it was Eldridge. Like, we were thinking about it. We were wondering, is it going to be Fitzgerald? Like, who do you bring up? Is Luciano going to come up? And they were like, nope, it's Eldridge. So that is the way that he gets to the big leagues. And that may be a little bit more of why Buster had the quote that he did, which is, it's out of necessity. So you wouldn't bring him up if you didn't think he could handle it. And you'd kind of tell him that, like, hey, maybe this isn't the timeline that we wanted to do this, but we need you. And we believe that you can come in and help us. And that makes it less about, hey, you have to come in and you have to be the all-star starting first baseman, superstar. And it's more of like, hey, you just need to help us in this time. This is winning time and we need some help. So maybe that's a little bit of the psychology. The Dom Smith injury comes at an inopportune time because I thought he was playing some good baseball. And I would love to see him back. I'm sure he's going to he'll have some offers on the market because he has played good baseball for the Giants this year. But now, he's hurt. So you got to bring up the kid. And I want to see I just want to see what he looks like in a big league uniform, man. Like I can remember when Buster came up. I can remember, and Buster, people remember May 28th, actually, 2010, when Buster came up. He actually came up the September before that.
Yeah.
But he didn't really play that much. Like Bochy did not play him very much at all. But I remember being at a game and I was just like, oh man, I just want to see this dude play. Same with Bumgarner. I was like, oh man, I just want to see what this guy looks like. And that's what it is with Eldridge. I just want to see what he looks like in this uniform so that we can get you kind of get a look at him, and then you start thinking about the offseason. Oh man, what's it going to be like? And this is why baseball is great, right? What's the starting lineup going to be next year? When we were kids, it was like, okay, here's the batting order, and then they make a trade. Oh, where does this guy fit in the batting order? We kind of did that with Devers when they made the trade. It's like, oh, now we got a 3-hitter or a 2-hitter or whatever. And so yeah, it'll be fun, and I hope that he doesn't get overwhelmed. But at the same time, I want to see. You kind of do want to see if how he handles himself. I looked up Brandon Belt. Brandon Belt was 23 when he came up in 2011. Brandon Belt hit 9 home runs and 209 plate appearances. So that was pretty good for a rookie season, though. He didn't have a high batting average, but 9 home runs was pretty good for the short stint of young Brandon Belt. All right, you mentioned this earlier, and the pitching, and if you are a skeptic, some may say a realist, about these next 2 weeks and the chances, I think you would point at the starting pitching. You would point at Kai Wei Tang being your number 4 starter going into the stretch run or going into the last 2 weeks of the season. You would point at TBA, which probably means bullpen game, or maybe you have someone with the idea that throw 4 innings or 5 innings. And then you got the old man, Verlander, who they've been really relying on. And then Logan Webb, who's thrown the most pitches in baseball this season. And then Robbie Ray, who has thrown the second most pitches in baseball this season. And that's what you're trying to string together to win baseball games. If you are a naysayer and you say, you know what, they're not going to, like, I can't argue. I mean,
Sure.
I'm hoping that is not the case, but you look at it on paper and you go, yeah, this is going to be really hard. And then you look at the bullpen, and, we talked about it with some of these no-name guys, but, like you said, they've kind of held up, and maybe they hold up a little bit better if the rotation isn't really put together with scotch tape after your 3 guys. There is word that if the Giants would make the playoffs, it's a possibility that Landon Roop would be available, and he would probably not start, but you'd have a really strong arm as a long man in the pen. There's talk that Eric Miller could possibly be back around the same time, and he was literally their only left-handed pitcher for like the first half of the season before he got hurt, left-hander in the bullpen. And then you have the Wiz Kid. The Wiz Kid, he may be available. I guess I didn't even know, or maybe I knew and I forgot, but I guess he got hurt.
Yeah.
And he had a back something that he was on he was injured for, and they're talking about he could possibly be back by this weekend. Though I don't know what that means, because if you have, I guess, one of those 3 games, if it's Webb and then Ray, or one of those 4 games, Webb and Ray and Tang and maybe Wisenhunt are your 4 starters in LA. But he's another rookie, and you just throw him into this whole thing, and you're like, oh my god,
basically a 2-pitch pitcher against that lineup in Los Angeles. That's not a great recipe. I don't like it, but
yeah, that would be tough. But at this point, it's like next man up, right? Like who else is there?
Yeah, who's a warm body who can get on the mound right now? That's the thing.
So, what are your, like, because you're a very optimistic fan. You're a glass half full kind of guy, especially when it comes to this baseball team. As you look at the last 13 games, Do you think the Giants hang in there and are fighting until the last series and they're alive, with Colorado coming home?
I said a month ago this team wasn't making the playoffs, but that's when they were pretty far back. Every time I think we bury this team, they go on a little run. So I don't even know. I'm at a total loss. 2025 has been the weirdest year for Giants baseball that I can remember. The last weird year we had was 2021 because the entire year we were thinking, what the hell is going on with this team? When are they going to fold? When are these old guys going to stop hitting? When is everything going to stop working?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't. It just kept going. And this year has been one of those years where when is this team going to officially get buried? When are they not going to be, in the hunt anymore? And it hasn't ended. And so I even like I said, if the Giants finish this week, they got 7 games, they could probably go 3-4. And if the Mets continue to crumble, and the Reds are,
They got swept by the A's.
they got swept by the A's. I mean, they're playing their Cardinals now, and they're, they're in St. Louis and they're winning the first game on this Monday night. But if they don't play great baseball, and we don't play great baseball, and the Diamondbacks don't play great baseball, and the Mets continue to fold, you're still gonna gain games on them. I mean, it's that possibility is slim compared to the Mets finally going on a tear and putting this thing away.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I don't even know what to think anymore. But one thing, and going back to what you alluded to earlier, one thing I am really enjoying is the baseball that's being played right now. Even though we lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, this team being competitive, this team showing fire. I went nuts Friday night. My wife wasn't feeling good. She was laying in bed. I was out in the front room. The other kid wasn't home from her friend's house yet. And I was going crazy in the front room when Bailey hit that grand slam. And to still do that in mid-September, that you couldn't ask for anything more as a Giants fan, right? I mean, it's just to be in there and to be fighting. It's a blast, and I'm really enjoying it.
I'll give people a little insight into how our chat was going. So the previous AB, Bailey, I forgot how Baggerly described it in his athletic piece. Something like a high school kid, something or other. Like the at bat was so bad. It was like, wait, is this guy left-handed hitter batting right-handed? Like that's how bad his swing looked. And so when the Giants are up, and then didn't they walk someone in front of him?
Yeah, they did. And I'm trying to think, was it no, it wasn't Ramos.
Might have been Wilmer.
It was Wilmer, because I said in the chat, because we love Wilmer's at bats, and I said, the Dodgers are about to see the most professional late game at bat they've ever seen. And of course they walk him because they knew they were afraid.
They knew.
They knew.
And so we kind of were doing like, I wasn't like, I was like, okay, who's coming up next? And in A New Hope, where Luke is putting together where the stormtroopers are going, and he's like doing the math, and he's like, home, and he had to go back home, and then when he got home, everyone was dead. Yeah. Like I was doing that math when Bailey was coming up. I was like, okay, sweet, run it first, Wilmer, Bailey, and I did. It was just like that as I was like coming to the conclusion that it was him at bat, and I was like, oh man, of course. Yeah. And this dude had the most pimp bat throw I've ever seen from a Giants player. It was just like, and this guy's not a home run hitter,
No.
But he hits the ball, and he knows off the bat that even if it's not a home run, this thing is over the outfielder's head. They couldn't be playing that far back because a sac fly wins the game too. And so he just hits it. The ball's a laser, and he just chucks that bat like in one motion. And I was like, okay, this is why you kind of keep rooting for this guy, even though his at-bats kind of suck. And you want him to do so well. He's homegrown. He's the best framer in the game. He keeps them, he keeps base runners off, from stealing off of their pitchers. And you're just like, man, if this guy could just hit a little bit, he would be the perfect catcher for the Giants. So when he does things like that, you just love the guy. But the previous at bat before, I was like cursing his name, going like,
it was awful.
Who there's no other player in Major League Baseball right now that has a worse at bat than Patrick Bailey just had. And then he goes out and lasers Tanner Scott's fastball out of the zone, by the way. And Tanner Scott was probably like, how did he hit that one? And it's just like, man, that was one of the best moments. And I think another Baggerly thing, I think he had a stat that said Patrick Bailey already has more game-winning home runs than Buster Posey did. Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I wonder if he has more than Benji Molina.
Oh, my goodness.
I remember that. What was a Benji Molina home run? I think it was 2010. Might have been 2010 where he hit a home run. There's nobody in the stands left to win the ball game. It was like a 2-1 game, and he hit it in like the 11th or 12th inning or something like that. But yeah, that was I think Patrick Bailey was probably exhausted. It's a Giant Dodger game. It's late. We're in extra innings. He's out there battling, and it was a nasty fastball up, which was crazy. And, to throw that. But again, I think you're thinking at that point, after watching, like I said, after watching Bailey's previous at bat, you could throw him that and he's going to swing through it, especially right-handed. He's not a good right-handed hitter. I wanted to correct you though. I don't want the Star Wars nerds coming after us. It was the Sand People.
The Sand People.
But I don't want, I don't want hate mail. I know how Star Wars nerds can be because I'm one, you're one. I don't want them coming after us. So anyways.
Yeah, I was about to say Sand People, and then I said Star Wars or Stormtroopers, and I was like,
You're like, uh-oh.
I just watched A New Hope not that long ago too.
Oh, okay. You know what I watch around my birthday is Empire Strikes Back. That's one I always like right around my birthday. It's just like throw it on while I'm doing stuff. That's one of those movies. Yeah.
I watched the it was the Disney. I've never watched any of them on Disney Plus, and so they have the 4K versions, which looks nice. Right. I'm sure if we had the 4K DVD, probably looks even better.
Yeah, I think so.
But so I watched it on the Disney Plus, and it looked awesome, man.
You know what I have? Star Wars nerds are gonna love this one too. I have the 4K laser disc rip on 4K disc of the original 3 movies without any of the special edition stuff.
Wow.
So I've got those 3. Yeah, I got them from somebody gave them to me for Christmas one year, and they're phenomenal. They look fantastic. Somebody really took the care to make them 4K from the Laserdisc rip, and no special edition stuff. So all the goofy, weird visual effects are in there and everything. So they're
so awesome. Greedo doesn't shoot first.
He does not. Nope.
And Jabba the Hutt, the human version, is in the movie.
No. This is I don't even think there is a Jabba the Hutt scene, because in the original there was no Jabba the Hutt scene. They added that in the second movie, or in the special edition, and they cut it from the original when Jabba was a human, because Spielberg just didn't like it. He said, I don't like the way it looks. So in the original version, there is no Jabba the Hutt scene whatsoever. They just head out to the Falcon and get the heck out of Mos Eisley.
So there's no thing of Han going like, I'm about to get the money, nope. Like the princess.
No, because that was going to be in the original film. and it was just a dude who was kind of like a stand-in. They go,
Yeah.
we'll put the special effect in later, and they never did. So when the special edition came out, Lucas goes, oh, now I could put Jabba the Hutt in there.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
now
yeah.
we know what he looks like and all that. And that looked terrible. Where he walks over him, and it was awful.
All right. So strap, get strapped in.
Yeah, here we go.
13 games. We got 7 in a row. No days off for the Giants. You and I will be back, I'm guessing, on Monday.
Yep.
I don't think the Valkyries are going to win their playoff series against the Minnesota Lynx, who are the best team in the league. So I don't think I'm going to have to worry necessarily about the following week in Valkyries basketball. But that was where my mind went. Like, can we do this Monday? But I think we're going to be good Monday, and Monday will be our last show of the regular season, and we can kind of break down this week, and then we'll set up next week, and we'll figure things out from there. But pretty excited, man. This is where you want to be. This is what you want to see when it comes to the team. Until that magic number or that elimination number, whatever that number is, until you're eliminated, they can still play some good baseball. So
heck yeah, man. And it's going to be, it could go down to the final day of the season, which is exciting.
Yeah.
That's always fun. If it goes down to the final game of the season, that's a blast.
Wait, did you say Spielberg?
I don't know.
I think you said Spielberg instead of Lucas.
I meant to say Lucas.
Yeah, you meant to say Lucas.
Good
I
Lord.
mean,
it's a Monday.
Graying old guys with glasses. Like, I'm sure you're not the only person who's made that.
You mean Spielberg and Lucas aren't the same guy?
When I was a little kid, I thought they were exactly the same guy.
I thought they were like a two-headed, monster of filmmakers.
Yeah. All right. That is it from here. For Brad, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.